The title of the first session of today, Day 2, is From Projects to Sustainable Development and Progress. JICA's technical cooperation projects conduct surveys to confirm the current state and challenges in the local community and requires that the identified current state and needs are reflected into the project plan. During the planning and also in the implementation phase, JICA helps with introducing various materials and equipment, conducts training, and works on technology transfers to the local stakeholders, working on technology adoption and equipment maintenance and management together with government officials from the partner country. Subsequent implementation of policy recommendations and action plans to improve the state of technology adoption are desirable follow-up activities for the partner country to leverage the achievements of the technology transfer and to develop and build on such achievements in an autonomous and sustainable manner. In this session, we get to hear examples of air pollution measures from Mexico, water quality management from Uruguay, and the case of the Environmental Research and Training Center in Thailand. Through the presentations, we hope to gain deeper understanding of the process of advancing from the JICA technology cooperation projects to sustainable development progress, as well as key points for realizing successful outcomes. We have invited 3 presenters for this session who will be giving their presentation live online or through a pre-recorded video message, after which we will ask for comments from Mr. Sergio Campos, who is the Water and Sanitation Division Chief at the Inter-American Development Bank, and Mr. Iwasaki Eiji, who is the Director of the Global Environment Department at JICA. If you have a question, please use the Zoom chat feature to post your question together with your name and affiliation. Without further delay, I would like to introduce the first presenter, Dr. Arturo Gavilán, Director of Research on Contaminants, Chemicals, Waste, and Biosafety, Mexican National Institute of Ecology and Climate Change, who will give us his presentation online.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you for your kind introduction. I'd first like to take this opportunity to convey my gratitude to the organizers. I am very grateful to be invited to this International Forum on Clean Cities Initiatives. I would like to present our experience in Mexico, especially on the formation mechanism of ozone, VOCs, and PM 2.5 and proposal of countermeasure scenario. Next slide, please. First of all, I would like to provide some background for this project. The Japanese and Mexican governments have done a significant cooperation. And this is a significant case of cooperation. It is a long-term sustainable endeavor also. This collaboration was crucial for the success of the project. We have also learned many valuable things, and so we were able to follow up on those learnings. Those learnings have been incorporated into the policies of our government. The things we have learned, the information, infrastructure, and know-how will continue to be leveraged in future so that we can improve the quality of life of Mexican citizens. I would first like to mention how Japan and Mexico have a long history of cooperation. Since 1986, the 2 countries have had a partnership, and also before that. And there is a cooperation agreement between the 2 countries, and cooperation projects are conducted also. Various researches and technology activities have been carried out under this partnership. And the outcomes of these research have been leveraged in order to improve the environmental situation in our country. The National Institute of Ecology and Climate Change was established in 2001, and it was established with support from the Japanese government. And for a long time, we have obtained support from JICA. This has enabled us to establish the Research and Education Center, and this became the National Institute of Ecology and Climate Change later. And this center has enhanced its capabilities and has grown to become an important research institute worldwide. And for the environment, we have provided fundamental basic knowledge for the environment to developing nations. And environmental issues are a big issue in Mexico, and there is a significant support provided for this. And I will discuss the details later. From 2005 to 2008, Japan and Mexico has worked on various joint researches for monitoring. Through this, we have established various monitoring networks inside of our country. The knowledge that we have gained on what problems have caused air pollution have become clear through the research process. And this important information has been conveyed to policymakers and to citizens. This project has helped to improve the various analysis capabilities of the Research Institute. And in various cities around Mexico, we have been able to enhance the facilities and infrastructure. Talent development on operators of monitoring networks and also engineers have also improved over the years. So in order to improve the air quality, the first set of very important steps have been taken. Thanks to this project, we were able to get the conditions for moving ahead. From 2010 to 2015, we have also continued the partnerships and a very scientific joint research project, taking scientists from Japan and Mexico to participate in the project with the knowledge and wisdom accumulated on both sides, especially in transportation and air, and ozone and VOCs and particulate matters. We were able to identify the process of these substances occurrence and also transmission. We were also able to analyze individual exposure in Mexico, Guadalajara, and Monterrey metropolitan areas. In these cities, air pollution has been a long-term problem. And so research has uncovered what was going on in these cities. So why is it sometimes ozones or volatile organic compounds that have caused pollution? We were also able to identify the mechanisms of these substances polluting the air. We were also able to see how these substances were polluting the air and what are the measures that we could be taking. Next slide, please. As mentioned earlier, the aim of this joint research is to generate technical and scientific information and to disseminate that information among decision makers at the three levels of government. In order to create specific policies, the information needs to be provided in order for the policies to become sustainable and to be appropriate. And the technical and scientific knowledge gained from the joint research contributed. The specific objectives are to support the design of public policies and identify measures that contribute to the reduction of emissions of atmospheric pollutants and greenhouse gases, also to improve air quality in the 3 major metropolitan areas of Mexico. So various analysis and evaluation has been done on the measures. Next slide, please. This is the project organization. We have 6 working groups. Working group number 1 deals with the ozone. And then work group 2 focuses on VOCs. Work group 3 focuses on PM 2.5. Work group 4 focuses on personal exposition. Work group 5 focuses on monitoring, inventories, and modeling. And so this was a new area for us at the time of the project. And all of these outputs contributed to working group number 6, which focuses on mitigation measures and co-benefits. Next slide, please. In this slide, I would like to mention how the work was undertaken across multiple participating institutions, gathering scientific information and developing policies would be done in a better way through this kind of setup. So we have had the Secretary of Environment and Natural Resources getting involved, Secretary of the Environment of the Mexico City government, also Secretary of Sustainable Development of the government of Nuevo León, and Secretary of the Environment and Territorial Development of the government of Jalisco. All of these entities participated in the project. Also, the National Commission of National Center of Meteorology and National Commission of Water, National Meteorological Service also participated in order to provide support.
Del agua.
And also the National Water Commission and the National University of the Ambient and Research and Iztapalapa and the Support Center for the Technology and the Design of the State of the Jalisco and the Technology Institute of Monterrey. Those with the cooperation from the Japanese experts, particularly from the University of Ehime, we have been working like this, and these were the work, the research together by the Mexican Institute of Methodology, of Measurement, and then for the 5 years the research has been conducted, and for the purpose of analysis. And the type of the analysis that had been conducted are shown here on this slide, and those equipment have been provided by the cooperation of Ehime universities for the analysis, and still for the improvement of the air quality in Mexico, these equipments are being used, continuously used. Next slide, please. Here are the outputs of our activities and research. As far as ozone is concerned, that scientific and technical information have been generated, and those information were for Mexico City and Guadalajara and Monterrey. Those 3 locations were targeted for the analysis on the air, and for it was used for the creation of the model. Then, with those information, the generation or formulation of the pollutant had been researched and studied. particularly for those areas with a concentrated ozone, such as Mexico City, that we focused on this research and analysis of the air, the ozone in the air, and also that we launched the Ozone Center based with those results for the prevention, environmental prevention. Those results and output has been reflected in our plan. And also we conducted sampling activities at 3 locations, particularly for the concentration level of VOC. And that VOC is analyzed to know how these VOC work for the generation and formulation of the contaminant or pollutant, and the way that VOC was generated, and the spots where the VOC are generated, and how the VOC contribute in formulating the pollutants. These were analyzed, and what kind of matters or substances or kind of the pollutant created and generated. So those were the area of study. And then that we evaluated the characteristics of that concentration level of the pollutant. And for the characteristics evaluation, that we conducted sampling activities at 3 locations, and those scientifically proven methodologies been used for the survey of the personal exposure. For example, the places were near to the schools or public institutions. At such important locations, what kind of exposure been observed for the people? For example, public bus services, particularly in case of Mexico City, the bus is being operated at a special corridor, and those users of those public transportation system, what kind of the pollutants and the level of concentration of the pollutant or the personal exposure, for example, buses, trucks, or vehicles, could be the cause of the pollution. Then the type of the pollution for the personal exposures were being analyzed utilizing the special equipment. And also that the gas station where the gasoline, the concentration of the pollutant or element from gasoline has been studied, and based on those survey, that appropriate and effective policy making has been done. As for the modeling, that we conducted an important survey or study. We used local equipment to collect information, and that modeling data had been used to know that the location where suffered from the severe pollution and the level of pollution had been analyzed, and based on this information, that the policies taken by the local government have been developed. As far as the policy is concerned, there were 2 points to be emphasized. Firstly, the long-term recovery at the gas station have been executed, and with that exhaust gas problems from the vehicles been improved. And then we introduced that regulation over the cap of the emissions from diesel engine vehicles. And for those areas where diesel engines are widely used, then we implemented the policies to put a regulation on the diesel emission, or to regulate the diesel emission. Particularly, in metropolitan area, the Mexico City area, that centering around the zero emission corridor, there is a transportation system used in the northern area of the metropolitan area have been evaluated, and based on that, from the MCCM model to the WRF CHEM photochemical model has been used or changed. And this kind of model needs to be expanded into other regions, other 7 regions. So therefore, that we signed the agreement with those 7 regions for that. And those information have been used and reflected in the policies taken by the local governments, thanks to the cooperation from Japan. And also the capacity for the monitoring activities at the local places. We had a cooperation and the cooperation for monitoring and analysis and for the capacity development for monitoring. We had a cooperation at the local level. And talking about the output and the result of those activities, what we are doing now, currently, from the year 2019 to 24, during this period, CMA collaboration contributed for the development of various campaigns. And we had that collaboration agreement for that. And to the year 2024, that the National Climate Change Institute, Research Institute, takes a leading role for the analysis and evaluation of the changes of the air quality, and particularly for the area where the 30% of the population is concentrated. And this kind of analysis work have been reflected in the PRO-ID, which is the preventive measures for against the air pollution and the prevention of air pollution, or the capacity development or the analysis are the area targeting for the capacity development. With that, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you very much. And Mr. Kamela, thank you very much for interesting presentation.
環境質課課長のルイス・レオロン様からご発表の録画をいただいておりますので、上映をさせていただきます。
Mi nombre es Luis Reolon, soy ingeniero ambiental del Ministerio de Ambiente de Uruguay y gracias a la iniciativa de JICA Clean City Initiative vamos a estar presentando la cooperación que hemos tenido entre el gobierno de Japón y a través de JICA y el gobierno de Uruguay a través de su Ministerio de Ambiente en aspectos ambientales y en aspectos de calidad del agua específicamente.
And this project deals with water quality. Unfortunately, I am joining by video this time, and because in the southern half of the hemisphere, we are in vacation season, and I am also on vacation, and that is why I have decided to send my message via pre-recorded video presentation. But if you have any questions regarding my presentation, if you can send them over, I would be very happy to answer them. Without further ado, I would like to talk about the JICA and Uruguay Environmental Ministry project. Please wait a moment while I share the PowerPoint slide. I hope you can see the material. It looks like the material is showing okay. The Japanese government, JICA, and the government of Uruguay have from 2003 to up 2017 conducted some projects. We have had significant achievements from this long-term endeavor. We had multiple phases to the project. But before I go into the project, I would like to talk about the country of Uruguay. The Oriental Republic of Uruguay is a country with a total area of about 176,000 square kilometers and a population of near 3.3 million people. Nearly 50% to 60% of the population is concentrated in the metropolitan areas. The main source of water is the Santa Lucia River. The project that we have done with JICA looks at the river basin of the Santa Lucia River. The Santa Lucia River had seen an increase in environmental problems. The cause of the pollution were factories along the river basin, but also there were agricultural waste that contributed to the pollution. In order to resolve these issues, the government of Uruguay turned to JICA for help and discussed what measures are necessary to solve the problems. And so we decided to do a joint initiative. Firstly, from 2003 to 2007, in the Montevideo metropolitan area, we conducted a water quality survey. And then from 2008, we looked at the very ambitious project of improving the water quality along the Santa Lucia River, which continued from 2008 to 2011. This was followed by the project from 2015 to 2017, which is also focused on the Santa Lucia River basin, but this was a study on mercury in sediments. Now I would like to share some of the learnings and the knowledge that we have gained from the project. As mentioned earlier, this project targeted the Santa Lucia basin from 2008 to 2011. This project invited JICA experts and experts from various other organizations. This is a map of South America. You can see this is Uruguay here. And this is a zoomed map of Uruguay. And inside of Uruguay, this is the Santa Lucia River basin and the drinking water source for Montevideo. And this is the biggest basin in the country. And this is the metropolitan area. Almost half of the population, 1.5 million people, live in this area. And the drinking water source is the Santa Lucia River. Basically, nutrients are inflicting a serious impact on the water quality. This JICA project had a wide range of organizations participating, including local governments. You can see the 6 local governments that have chosen to participate in the project. We also had the MAGAP, OSE, DINAMA participating from the national government. And I am part of DINAMA. We also have other JICA experts team. Also, the members of the Japan embassy joined in the project. In order to improve the water quality in Santa Lucia River, we look to implement measures to improve that water quality. And the project purpose was to strengthen the capacity of DINAMA, the Environmental Ministry, and other organizations for the control of water pollution sources. The important thing is that we were able to enhance the network. Also, have mechanism in place for monitoring, data analysis, and pollution control. From 2011 onwards, the government of Uruguay has been operating this system. Next, I would like to talk about the Japanese technology and experience that has been transferred to Uruguay. As mentioned earlier, the survey that ended in 2011 the outcomes were used to create an action plan for improving the water quality in the Santa Lucia River. You can see on the top part of the slide the organic substance pollution in the river basin. We have shown the pollution causes on the bottom. And you can see there is a lot of agricultural pollution on the upper part and industrial pollution on the other part. And we found that the areas could be divided into 3 different areas. And so in the upstream areas, we have diffuse sources, central zone of the basin, diffuse sources in rural areas, and point sources in urban areas. And on the downstream zone, point pollution sources like factories and household wastewater. So through the project, we were able to have networks in place, setting parameters in order to monitor the water quality. After the project concluded, we are still using this network for monitoring. There have been minor changes to the system, but basically we are using the same system. And this has played an important role for the project. In 2013, the government of Uruguay, based on the experience of cooperation with Japan, worked on an action plan for the protection of the ambient environment quality and the availability of drinking water sources. And this was put together in May 2013. The purpose of this action plan is to control and stop and move back the process of damages in the water quality in the Santa Lucia River watershed and guarantee its quality and quantity for a sustainable use of drinking water supply. Based on the experience of the JICA project, we set 2 target zones. The first one is the upstream area, the important source of drinking water. The second zone is the downstream, where conservation of water flora and fauna is necessary. We implemented 10 measures, and I would like to roughly introduce what they are. The first measure is related to factory wastewater discharge. In the past, the wastewater treatment was insufficient. So $30 million to $40 million were invested to make sure that the wastewater treatment is done properly. Also, urban area wastewater treatment was also inadequate. So the relevant organizations were requested to make the necessary investment for improvement. This investment has happened according to plan.
And now that the measure number 3 is should be coming, and this is related to the unspecified pollutant load, so that the soil level of phosphorus level should not exceed the 30 ppm, and also that the collective farming for the livestock, which is called feedlot, that the standard or criteria for that has been introduced for the purpose of the controlling. And in addition to that, for the feeding or the farming of the milking cow, some types of regulation has been developed and introduced. And also, there are some aspects related to sludge. Unbelievably, the sludge has been discarded into the river. But for the purpose of clean water treatment, that we need the management and the treatment to be in place. And also, that for the major water source for the drinking water, that there should be the places to be protected from the access from the people or the livestock, and so that there are some the strip with the width of 30 to 50 meters. There are certain areas where that we prohibit the planting, agriculture, and livestock farming. So that for the nutrient, soil nutrient, and some particles to be filtering out from this strip. And for these kind of strip places been already introduced for the purpose of the management. And also the surface water and underground water has been under control, though we have not had the good control over them. However, all of the water quality has been recorded, and for the drinking water, the other water source and the reservoir designated, and for them, those places we have a measure number 10. And lastly, for the overall measures, this action plan in Uruguay, Santa Lucia River Basin Advisory Committee has been set up for asking their advisory. And at this moment, there is an important system with the participation from the public service organizations. And of course, the Santa Lucia River is one of the most important rivers, and this committee is an important organization where the government and citizens can participate. And then this action plan is subject to the discussion for the committee. So the committee member participated in the discussion. So this kind of that is the background why that we have created or developed that significant committee activities. As I said, that the major cooperation between Japan and the JICA has made such a fruitful result, and we were able to participate in these activities, and based on that we develop the water quality model, and through this monitoring system that we are able to access to the information. And for modeling, the JICA provided a scheme for modeling, and we, for our own works, and also we created or developed our own models with the international cooperation. So we are now able to get an information to know the current situation for land usage, agriculture, or livestock farming are changing, and how those changing affects the quality of the water. This has been observed with modeling. So with such a major progress, I would like to inform you that we made such a major progress. So these are the environmental observatories where we are able to collect various information, and we are able to directly access to this. Here are the Santa Lucia River, and the color red represents the critical condition of the pollution. The yellow is not so significant, and the other color represents that the level of urgency is not so high. So as you can see from the monitoring, these are the phosphorus parameters. Any kind of the parameter regarding the water quality can be accessed. So in this basin, that we have an environmental issue for the water source, and these are the result of that industrialization, and also there are the problem with the mercury, which is a result of the industrialization and other factors contributed for the generation of the mercury issues. And in order to solve that, we received the collaboration from JICA. And particularly, Professor Yoshida visited us many times to give us enormous support. If my memory is correct, from 2015 to 2017, this collaboration activity was conducted. And also, we conducted the monitoring over the basin. So as you can see, here are the grids and with the red spots. And these are the monitoring spot for soil and the water quality. Here is a La Plata River. These are wetland. And we did our activities, and Professor Yoshida is here together with our own staff. He directly did the activity or work by himself. This is a sampling and from Japanese government and from JICA. We received significant support for our environmental research institute. That mercury, organic mercuries, detections, are the theme for the technological transfer, and that the inspection technique has been already developed in the institute. And we analyzed the soil based on with this technology. And now we are able to see how the soil conditions have been improved. As you can see here, and we developed and installed a fence to prevent the mercuries expanded and prohibited the access of the people, and under the continuous monitoring or observation by the Ministry of Environment. And lastly, as a result of the cooperation, we sponsored or conducted the regional seminar to transfer our technologies and knowledge to the other countries. And in 2017, we conducted the regional seminar, and in 2017, we conducted a seminar regarding the mercury pollution. From the Latin American countries, we had wide participation, and where that we have similar issues, and even if they do not have issues, problems related to mercury, that information and opinion exchange with those countries were so fruitful. And the rest of what I would like to say is just appreciation and thanks. And let me apologize again that for my participation through this video, but personally and our organizations are so appreciating that enormous contribution and support from Professor or Dr. Yoshida, and he is a leader that for our environmental policies, and thanks to the cooperation, we made a major step ahead for the environmental policies and the measures. And we are doing activities by ourselves, and with those experiences that we have been able to develop ourselves. With that, I would like to conclude my presentation. Before concluding my presentation, the year 2022 will be that wonderful one for the world, for the people around the world, and also in Japan. If you have any questions or anything that you would like to tell to me, I would like to communicate in certain measures. Thank you. This was a presentation by Mr. Luis Reolon of the Ministry of Environment of Uruguay.
Monthip Sriratana.
The next presentation is an online presentation by Dr. Monthip Sriratana, Senior Advisor at the National Research Council of Thailand.
Sawasdee ka. Greetings and good day from Bangkok. I am greatly honored to be invited to deliver a talk at the JICA Green City Initiative kick-off the international seminar. I'm proudly grateful to the organizers for the privilege given to me. So the title of my talk today will be From Project to Sustainable Development, the case of the Environmental Research and Training Center, Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment of Thailand. My presentation will be in two parts. The first part is an 8-minute video on ERTC, its beginning and current works. For the second part, I will have 10-minute PowerPoint presentation linking the works of ERTC with the aspirations of the United Nations Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. Then I will make conclusions on the contributions of ERTC and its accomplishments. It is with great pleasure to announce that this year is ERTC's 30th anniversary of its founding, a great example of the international cooperation between Thailand and Japan. And ERTC was inaugurated on March 20, 1992. So may I now kindly request the host to please share the video. Thank you.
The Environmental Research and Training Center, under the Department of Environmental Quality Promotion, Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, was inaugurated on March 20th, 1992. The opening ceremony was presided over by Her Royal Highness, Princess Maha Chakri Sriratana. With the vision, an excellent center for environmental research and development that meets the international laboratory standards. Focusing on 5 important issues of the Department of Environmental Quality Promotion for the next 20 years, which are as follows. The first issue, promoting environmentally friendly production and consumption. Conduct studies on the economics of single-use plastic bag management for proposal to the Cabinet. Conduct studies on consumers' behavior in Bangkok. The study has shown that 74% of sample individuals use eco-friendly products. The second issue, waste management at the source from people. In order to manage waste problems, there is research related to open bottom fermentation tank for food scraps, prototype fermentation tank for food scraps, which will be used as soil nutrients to improve soil quality within 24 hours. Studies on waste and hazardous waste management in the national parks by promoting participation from park staff to enable them to implement and expand the knowledge and information acquired. Studies on hazardous substances from remaining materials collected from community waste disposals. The study found that residue polluted the soil environment materials from the 15 full-service waste disposal centers. The hazardous substances were cadmium, lead, arsenic, and mercury. These soil and environments materials are not suitable for crop planting, but good for reforestation. From the study of distribution and contamination of mercury, it is shown that the ambient air in the electronic waste dumping area was contaminated with a concentration of mercury compared to industrial areas. The third issue, promoting a sustainable environment city by conducting research on wastewater management and water recycling. Recycling wastewater for watering plants, for men's restrooms, and floor cleaning. Research on the groundwater treatment in the Eastern Economic Corridor areas by developing technology for treating groundwater contaminated with volatile organic compounds using natural methods. Research on mitigation measure to reduce noise pollution and resolve complaints as well as minimize requests for compensation from the affected people in the areas. Research on air pollution management through proposed guidelines to solve environmental issues, such as eco-forest planting to trap dust, air pollution management at community waste and electronic waste disposal sites. increase green areas, and study carbon capture in ecoforests. In order to study how the ecoforest increases green areas, the Environmental Research and Training Center has planted a total of 4,152 trees, creating habitat for over 30 species of birds. Ecoforests can capture 6 times more carbon than the trees planted in the parks, with 95% survival rate and over 50% trapping ability of ultrafine dust particles, or PM 2.5. The fourth issue, strengthening the ability to adapt to climate change. Developing a 3-day heat and smog forecast system. Using animation to create awareness and understanding of the increasing sea level, coastal erosion, and storms washing ashore. The fifth issue, organization management. For 2 consecutive years, the Environmental Research and Training Center has received Gold Plaque for Green Office Awards. The Environmental Research and Training Center is equipped with laboratories that are certified under ISO IEC 17025, as well as for quality management systems ISO 9001-2015 certification. In order to extend its activities to supply the dioxin laboratory for its analytical services, and to be a learning center for environmental technology and innovation research and development. Accredited laboratories can provide confidence to customers with reliability and accuracy. The information can be used for academic reference and judicial processes. The research outcomes that have successfully solved the environmental problems have been copyrighted and patented. These 2 innovations are from year 2013 up to now, the Environmental Research and Training Center has promoted the 2 innovative smoke-free biomass reactors in all regions in Thailand in order to help reduce particulate matters and pollutants from biomass burning, and also getting value added from biomass waste. Biochar has been produced from pyrolysis and gasification processes in the reactor. The biochar can then be crushed and used for soil improvement. Additional produce from the smoke-free biomass reactor with wood vinegar distillation unit is wood vinegar, of which could be used as insect repellent. Moreover, there have been 4 other pilot-scale innovative biomass reactors of various sizes and applications, currently available for tackling air pollution from biomass open burning. The road traffic noise level prediction model was copyrighted in 1997. The biopesticide extracted from herb substances, petty patent registered in 2007. With commitment, the Environmental Research and Training Center continuously improved its research and development skills, knowledge, technology, and innovation in order to prevent and control pollution, as well as promote the conservation and management of natural resources and environments, and support the mission of the Department of Environmental Quality Promotion. Environmental quality is the quality of life.
Thank you very much. I want to continue with the PowerPoint presentation. So the title is From Project to Sustainable Development. Next. Next. This is the Environmental Research and Training Center. Next. Environmental Research and Training Center was granted by the government of Japan as a token of friendship and cooperation between Japan and the Kingdom of Thailand. Next. Next. Well, as you may know, Sustainable Development Goals was born by the United Nations And with that, ERTC has contributed to Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development under the following SDGs: SDG 6, Clean Water and Sanitation; SDG 3, Good Health and Well-being; SDG 4, Quality Education; SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities; SDG 12, Responsible Consumption and Production; SDG 13, Climate Action; SDG 14, Life Below Water; and SDG 17, Partnership for the Goals. Next. So in SDG 6, ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated the critical importance of sanitation, hygiene, and adequate access to clean water for preventing and containing diseases. Next. ERTC has established the water reuse with the aim to promote water reuse technologies. And with this, we try to learn about the clean water and sanitation. So we analyzed that population using at least drinking water, about 98.2%. Population using at least basic sanitation service, 95%. But still, there are things that we still have to keep an eye on and manage is freshwater withdrawal, total renewable water resources, groundwater depletion, anthropogenic wastewater that receive treatment. Next. So under SDG 6, we realized that there are still lacking of monitoring and adequate analysis in different parameters. So in this study of Chapia River Basin, which is Bangkok is located there, we do compare the water quality of different years. Next. So these are the baseline assessment that we found. And these are the clean water and sanitation program that we have been initiated together with under JICA JST. We set up, as I said, water reuse center with the aim to promote water reuse technology for effective water resource management. Here is the program that we are doing right now is development of membrane bioreactor for water reuse purpose and removal efficiency of bacteria and domestic wastewater treatment, evaluation of exposure assessment on emerging organic contaminants in water supply in Reolon pollution control zone, clay water treatment by advanced subsurface flow constructed wetland for water reuse, and research efficiency for air fine bubble to separate grease and oil domestic wastewater. Next. The other one is pollution management of soil and groundwater contamination relating to point source in community area, research and promotion of wastewater treatment technology for water reuse. Next. For the SDG 3, good health and well-being, I think this is very important. Study of noise-sensitive area of regional airport noise pollution control management. I think ERTC is the first center that conduct the noise control line in almost all domestic airport, and that to support the management plan of the airport authority, develop early warning system for heat and haze for the upper northern of Thailand. I think this one to serve the ASEAN Transboundary Air Pollution Agreement. ERTC play important role to help support not only the organization within Thailand, but also for the region. Development of methodology for determination of VOCs. ERTC is the, again, first lab that developed the methodology for the conducting monitoring of VOC in soil and air. And with this, environmental quality standard for VOC has been set up. Study an area based on environmental management model and mechanisms. Study on noise propagation and noise management in the city. And the study of contamination of dioxin, mercury, VOCs, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons in ambient air. We are very proud to say that we have set up the National dioxin laboratory at the ERTC to provide the service for dioxin analysis in air, soil, water, sediment, and we got certification ISO 17025. Besides that, ERTC, Global Environment Facilities, UNIDO work together for the studying of dioxin in the iron sheet industries, and also information of dioxin was given to the Stockholm Conventions. Next. So SDG 12, I want to go back. SDG 4, quality education. ERTC conduct capacity building for high-level government officials responsible for policy formulation, mostly Director General, Deputy Director General from different organizations come to work and learn at ERTC to understand the new and appropriate new technology in environmental management and exchange information for all stakeholders. 60 participants a year for high-level government officials has been done right now. Next. So for cities that we are talking about, sustainable cities and communities, it cut across all SDGs. So ERTC has been involving in particular SDGs related to cities at the moment. Next. For SDG 12, sustainable consumption and production, it is about doing more and better with less. It is also about decoupling economic growth from environmental degradations, increasing resource efficiency, and promoting sustainable lifestyle. At the moment, the government of Thailand initiated BCG, Biocircular Economy. So at the next APEC meeting, BCGs will be the main theme of the discussions in Thailand. So under this consumption, sustainable consumption production, we do have a different program like appropriate aeration feeding model for underground organic and compost tank, application of earthworm on reducing hazardous residues in residues derived from domestic solid waste treatment, pollution management of municipal solid waste and electronic waste, development of high-performance food waste composting, and also black soda. This is a kind of fly hermitier illusions applied for organic waste management. This is the first time that we do. Next. For climate action, SDG 13, development of index and tool for assessing public climate change awareness, development of future drought information system and environmental impacts for community level management, assessing adapting option of coastal cities along the Gulf of Thailand for sea level rise, coastal erosion and storm surge, and also study on indigenous adaptation to climate change impact. Next. So for life below water, coastal ecological risk management has been initiated, especially for the volatile organic compound and semi-volatile heavy metal for sustainable consumption at pollution control area. We do study appropriate approach to manage and assess urban environment and forest development of eco-forest model to reduce impact of sea level rise. The last tsunami, Thailand, we have mangrove that could protect well the coastal erosion and storm surge. For contamination and treatment performance of microplastics in municipal waste treatment system, this is also a new one that we initiate. Next, please. So for SDG 17, Partnership for the Goals, I think we do have a very good partnership with all central and local governments, increase awareness and promotion of participatory action, research community, and promote innovation from agricultural waste. And we conduct capacity building for all stakeholders, government, non-government, public, private sectors, researchers, utilizing outcome of various research and development projects. I'm very pleased to say that more than 60,000 participants have been trained under ERTC. Next. So in conclusions, well, ERTC through its 30 years of the assistance contribute to sustainable development of the country through research and development, as well as capacity building that promote environmental sustainability toward achieving Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals. Next, please. Next, please. So ERTC is the, back please. ERTC is a good model for sustainable development and international cooperation. Lastly, I would like to introduce this book, that has been published and it's under the, you can find from a bookstore in Japan. It's highlighted Thailand-Japan International Cooperations. So I thank you so much for your kind attention. สวัสดีค่ะ
Sriratana様
Thank you very much, Ms. Sriratana. So she introduced a variety of the programs in Thailand. So based on the presentations by the three people that we would like to go start the comment from the two people.
I'd first like to ask Mr. Sergio Campos from the Inter-American Development Bank for the comment on the presentation so far.
Good morning, good evening, and noon to everybody. Virtuality, which has been the reality COVID has brought to us in addition to many other things, enable us to gather together today and to share our experience and our knowledge. On behalf of the Inter-American Development Bank, I would like to thank the kind invitation that JICA has given to us by inviting us to share some of the perspectives of the Inter-American Development Bank. My name is Sergio Campos. I'm the head of the Water and Sanitation Division at the Inter-American Development Bank. The Inter-American Development Bank is the leading multilateral agency providing support to our countries in water, sanitation, solid waste, drainage, and in addressing the effects of climate change. We have a portfolio of approximately 8 billion and more than 100 projects and technical cooperations throughout the region. And we're a proud partner of JICA and the government of Japan in our endeavor to improve and enhance the quality of services and the provision of water and sanitation to Latin Americans. It's been also a pleasure to be part of this panel, of this important panel, from projects to sustainable developmental progress. It's been a pleasure to share the stage with Engineer Gavilán, Engineer Reolon, and Dr. Sriratana. I want to also congratulate Mr. IWASAKI for the organization of this session of the seminar. The challenges in Latin America, mostly related in water and sanitation, that are keen for our cities. Latin America has almost 80% of urbanization are related to providing better access to services of water and sanitation. In Latin America, almost 1/3 of the Latin American population don't have a continuous provision of water and sanitation. And almost 2/3 of the Latin American population do not have adequate sludge management. That's according to the SDGs. That's approximately 200 million people that don't have continuous provision of water, and more than 400 million people that don't have access to adequate sludge management. Those numbers replicated globally are an immense number and are some of the challenges that we need to face ahead of us. But it's not only access of water and sanitation or access to good services. Climate change has been affecting and putting a barrier in addressing and achieving those goals. Droughts, floods, hurricanes have been affecting our goal to achieve and provide services of water and sanitation for our region. So it's not only access and the quality of access, but climate change. And next, please. In this regard, I want to congratulate JICA for this timely and important initiative, and Clean Cities Initiative, that addresses the effects of climate change, that addresses the effects of providing our citizens globally better access to this service, better solid waste management, better resilience of infrastructure, The challenges are relevant. The issues are waste management, wastewater treatment, environmental regulation, circular economy. The initiative also ensures safe and healthy living environment, inclusive and sustainable resilience. That, as the previous presenters highlighted, COVID has highlighted the importance of having water and sanitation as a first line of defense, not only to COVID, but to other types of illnesses, marine and plastic pollution, climate change, and biodiversity. And in this Clean Cities initiative, the solutions cannot only be tackled from the engineering point of view or from the innovation point of view, but it also includes the human resources, the institutional capacity, the infrastructure, the technology transfer, the policy, the financing, and so on and so forth. So the initiative also provides an integrated approach, which is something that needs to be done. And the initiative also addresses the importance of not only scaling up these solutions that are going to be identified and addressed in different places, but also through partnerships, try to scale up and leverage them. Next, please. In that sense, we're also proud to let you know that the bank has a Vision 2025, that coincides and collides with the Clean Cities initiative, and particularly in issues as water and sanitation. Our Vision 2025 has five-fold pillars. One of them is regional integration. The other one is digital economy. The next one is support to small and medium enterprises, gender and diversity, and climate change action. Next, please. This vision complements and highlights something that is also being said. The SDGs, in order to address the SDGs, not only SDG 6, but SDGs 11 and SDG 12. And as we've been told before, I mean, all the SDGs, because they are interrelated, water and sanitation are essential for a good health, for good education, for gender equality, for poverty reduction. If we do not achieve SDG 6 and better quality of services, water and sanitation, it's going to be very difficult to address the other SDGs, but also to combat climate change, to make front of the effects of climate change, and to ensure that we have a safe and sound environment. Next, please. In order to address those issues in the water and sanitation, at the water and sanitation division, we're not only focusing on infrastructure, but in the quality of services, so that services are sustainable, our infrastructure is resilient. In order to achieve that, we have two main pillars: support countries to achieve water and sanitation services of good quality, and make our infrastructure and environmental, our water security resilient to the effects of climate change. And we want to pursue those two goals, ensuring that financing is allocated and it's available to finance not only the infrastructure that is missing, but the resilience that need to be taken, as well as to enhance the governance of our sector, not only service providers, regulators, and ministries. Also bringing the private sector participation, as well as technology, in order to enhance the operation and maintenance of the infrastructure that we generate. For us, innovation is a key component. Through innovation, we can do things faster. Through innovation, we can do things better. But innovation cannot be only being seen as doing things better or faster. Solutions needs to be greener. If we continue doing what we're doing better, it's not going to be enough unless it's greener and it's more resilient to the effects of climate change. Next, please. And in that, I was very glad today to see that the partnership that the bank has with JICA, it's a long-term partnership that comes from many years ago, the same as it's been shown by the government of Thailand, the government of Uruguay, and the government of Mexico. In the bank, we've also been supported, and we see this already from a long time ago. In the case of Panama and Costa Rica, through the building of a network of infrastructure for sewage. In the case of Peru, with solid waste management. And in the case of Paraguay, with a new project that is going to tackle water service provision, but also aquifer protection, and also the quality of Paraná River as well. Next, please. And looking forward, what we want to do is not only support or take advantage of the knowledge and the technology that Japan has generated, but couple it with the knowledge that the IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank, has in the regions and the presence that the IDB has in the region. As I mentioned before, our portfolio is very large and the number of projects that we have in the region are very good. And this partnership or this win-win that we see, it's been already reaffirmed by a core initiative within the government of Japan and the IDB that has signed up a memorandum of understanding for mutual collaboration ahead of us. So at this juncture, I want to thank and again for the invitation, for inviting us to be part of this panel, and I want to congratulate again the JICA for this Clean City initiative. Thank you very much.
カンポス様、ありがとうございました。続きまして、JICA 地球環境部長の岩崎英二様よりコメントを頂戴いたします。岩崎様、よろしくお願いいたします。
I would like to call on Mr. Iwasaki from JICA for his comment.
失礼いたしました。ガビラン様。
Dr. Gavilán, Mr. Reolon, and Dr. Sriratana, and Mr. Campos, thank you very much for your contributions to this seminar. And JICA Clean City Initiative really places an emphasis on partnership, and based on the wonderful presentations from the three presenters, that really brought back to my memory all of the experiences from the projects. Towards a sustainable environment, I would like to discuss some key points. First of all, cooperation to Mexico started from the 1980s, and for over 30 years we have been working on air pollution, water pollution, and waste management to provide comprehensive support. The air pollution measures in the presentation were the longest-standing area of cooperation. The support for air pollution measures in Mexico started in the 1980s, starting with Mexico City, which had issues with air pollution. Japan supported the formation of the master plan for measures and also worked on loan projects. And so we worked to reduce the sulfate oxide and supported enablement of a clean Mexico City. So Mexico City was the starting point of our cooperation. And we have also supported setting up of human resources development and other research in the middle of the 2000s, early 2000s. We have also contributed to building various network. And as you saw in the network, ozone and PM 2.5, these more complicated pollution substances, we have done joint researches with this shows how the joint effort and advancement of research is important. The second presentation from Mr. Reolon was a really great example of an integrated approach. Over 20 years of international cooperation is at the background of this. From 2003, JICA helped form the master plan for improving the water quality in the Santa Lucia River Basin, and from 2008 to 2011, specific water pollution improvement support has been provided. And the IDB has also provided funding for the waste treatment. And mercury pollution is one thing that we cannot forget as Japanese who have had the Minamata disease. Research has been done on the source of the pollution, and with participation from academic sectors. And based on the risk-based approach, and cooperation measures were outlined. And through thorough guidance, ministerial guidance to the companies that were discharging the pollutants, and measures were enforced. Information has been disclosed to the public, and measures have been taken. In addition to these information sharing sessions, information has been shared to countrywide, and that triggered public discussion on these pollutants. In Rafrata, the mercury pollution did not lead to a serious widespread issue, and so various stakeholders were able to work together to implement the measures to remedy the situation in a short period of time. The partnership between academia, industry, and the government. Also, the partnership with IDB and JICA have played a significant role. As shown in Mr. Reolon's presentation, a committee has been set up with regards to river basin, and this has evolved in an integrated river basin management initiative.
This is the result that it needs to be specially noted. And the last one is a case in Thailand. In Thailand, with the starting point for the JICA's international collaboration, and from that point to today, that leadership has been exercised by Ms. Monthip, because she has been the leader all the time. And for the environmental science and ERTC, played an important role for the capacity development. And in her presentation, that he made a good presentation in line with the SDGs. And that international collaboration with the ERTC will be continued going forward. I would like to talk about that. After the support of the establishment of ERTC, the Thailand has made a significant economic growth, and with that, they face certain environmental issues. And for example, the VOC contamination in the industrial park, and to that issue that Thailand requested to us for the development of the support. For supporting the development of the program. After developing that environmental standard, then that another system, the support for the system development for the management based on the standard. So based on that, in addition to the regulation, the information disclosure and communications with the community has been started. With an introduction of the new management system, that relationship between the industrial park and the community has been enhanced, and the citizens and industries should be able to live together for the purpose of reaching to the better livelihood. And in that process, that we are able to see the process to develop that better collaboration or better cooperation between the different parties. So, having heard the different presentation, we understand the source, the type of the issue differ from country to country, and the approach may be different. However, there are some shared or important points. One is an information disclosure. Or transparency, and also that effective environmental measures to be in place for the purpose of better living for the people, and lastly, that the sustainable world should be the goal for all of the activities. And also, the collaboration between the country plays an important role there, not only just for the two countries' collaborations, but however, with the more or multiple countries, that the knowledge and experience should be shared, because the environmental contamination does not have the national borders. So that international solution is inevitable. And JICA has a partnership which has been developed for the long term, and this will be the basis for the additional collaboration or activities for the future to address that advanced or the up-to-date issues. And for the clean city, the creation of the clean city would be our target. For these initiatives, I hope that your continuous support is always welcomed. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Mr. Iwasaki. Now that we would like to open for the question and answers, but the time is limited for Q&A, and we received the question from the floor, and let me read out the question. First, the question to Mr. Gavilán and to Ms. Sriratana, that in your presentation that you introduced your success case in the cooperation with the JICA. So from this experience of a success, that you plan to, in order to scale up or improve the scale and reach to or to achieve the sustainable community, that what do you have, what do you plan for next? And another question is to Abilatana. The JICA IBDA, such an international cooperation organization, how would you like to utilize your success implementation? This is a question to JICA and the IDP. So the time is limited. I hope that you can answer to these questions within 1 minute. And Mr. Gavilán, will you start?
Thank you for the question. I believe it's a very important question. And to talk about what we are currently doing. Based on the cooperation we have with Japan and with JICA, we're working on public policies formulation with regards to air pollution and other measures. The air quality program, Pro-IRE, is responsible for working on these measures. Based on these endeavors, Pro-IRE document contains many things and outlines what to do in a long-term basis. Also, various work programs exist, and to realize them, funding is also considered. Thank you very much for that answer. Dr. Sriratana, would you like to also comment on the question?
Working with JICA experts, both short-term and long-term, I think we aim for sustainable development goals through the R&D and the capacity building that ERTC is now contributing, not only at the national level, but also at the regional level. As I said, for the next APEC meeting, we try to be involved on the promotion of biocircular economy. And we try our best to work closely with JICA, the Ministry of Environment. Thank you.
And in regards to how to strengthen the collaboration in projects that we're going to move forward, I think that better coordination between the financial institutions, being JICA, the IDB, or other institutions, it's very important so that we can jointly support governments and municipalities to address the issues that they have in front of them.
Thank you very much for your answer, Mr. Iwasaki. Well, talking about the experience in those 3 countries, and in other countries that they have been facing the similar major issues like air pollution and water quality, etc. So that I hope that we would be able to expand this success case to the other countries. And within that process, we hope to deepen the partnership and expand the range of the partnership. Thank you very much for answering to the question. And we are sorry for the limited time, but going forward through this JCCI, we hope that we will be able to deepen our partnership. And thank you for many questions, and to the presentators and those who are participating, who have been participating. Thank you for your cooperation. With this, we'd like to close this session. Thank you again.